let's dive straight into the MVP conversation because it's run right into the final week of the season. So let's debate and break down the three frontrunners. Right now, if I'm looking at the contention of the three big men, I'm going to give you a quick overview of everything so you are fully up to speed with how this MVP race is, of course, shaping up. And as you can see, Giannis Antetokounmpo enters the final week of the season, still averaging just a bit over 30 points, 11 rebounds, of course, just shy of 6 assists. We didn't even talk about the blocks and the steals because he does it on both ends of the court. But can the Greek Freak do it again? Can he now make himself a three-time MVP in this league? And if we're talking about MVPs, this guy right here hasn't won one as of yet, but the consistency in what he's delivered in Joel Embiid, we saw that 44 points that he dropped, 17 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 blocks. He's punched himself right back into the conversation once again. Whether you debate it or you doubt it, Joel Embiid is legit as what he does consistently, averaging over 30 points a game as well. And Nikola Jokic, well, I'm just going to quote my OG each and every time, calling him the most charming player in the game. And he delivered a monster game for us on Sunday against the Lakers. The Nugget star becomes the first player in franchise history with at least 35 points and 10 rebounds in 3 straight games, which is just second to none, I will say. But if the eye test tells me all, gentlemen, I take a deep breath because we need to start putting some authority behind these suggestions. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care what the people say. I don't care what the debate is. It's clear as cut that Giannis Antetokounmpo is the MVP for this year. BJ, this is the toughest year to turn around and find out who is going to be the MVP, but who is your MVP as we wrap up this season?
Well, I'm looking at that list, guys, of 3 players, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis. It's clear to me the following before I give my MVP for this season, that this is a new era of great players. It's here. These are phenomenal players. What they're bringing, they're all foreign-born players, and I think, to me, as I'm looking at that list, it's clear to me whether or not he is named the MVP right now at this point is inconsequential to what's going on in the NBA. To me, Giannis Antetokounmpo is without question the best player in the NBA. He is ushering in this new era of basketball. And I think, looking at those numbers, looking at what he's done, how he's moved this year from the 4 position to the 5 position, he is deserving to be the MVP. This is as close of a race that I can recall in recent memory. But I think when it's all said and done, I think Giannis is the best player, and he deserves to be the MVP of the NBA during this season.
Sometimes the narrative can just overlap sort of the greatness that we see from Giannis consistently. I mean, he's won it before. Of course, we know Jokic is a defending champion, but Giannis is the 2-time MVP in this league, Mo. What does the eye test tell you, though? Who is your MVP for this year?
Well, Giannis is one of those players, much like LeBron when he was in his prime, that could just win the award season after season after season. He's that great. And we've got to give some credit to Joel Embiid as well for what he's done this season. But the MVP this year is last year's MVP. It's Nikola Jokic. He's had a better season this year than he did last year. And he's done it all without his starting point guard, Jamal Murray, and without Michael Porter Jr., the kid they just gave the max contract to. Nikola Jokic has carried this Denver Nuggets team not to the play-in, to the playoffs. And he's done it doing it on historical numbers. He's put up a season that's never been done before. He's top 10 in points, rebounds, assists, and field goal percentage. No one's ever done that in the history of this game. He's second only to Wilt Chamberlain when it comes to centers in terms of triple-double. So, anytime Wilt Chamberlain's name is being mentioned, you're in the company of greatness. He could be the first player to average 13 and 7 throughout an entire NBA season. Never been done before. And the team's record speaks for itself, because there's a lot of teams out here that make excuses. Oh, if we were healthy. Oh, if my teammate was healthy, we would have been in the playoffs. Well, guess what? Nikola Jokic ain't make no excuses. Nikola Jokic is out here playing ball. And let me tell you this, he shows up. When the lights are on, he shows up. Doesn't matter about the matchup, he shows up. Overtime, shows up. He's played 72 games and counting this season. That's almost 10 more than his counterparts in the MVP race. So I got to give this award to none other than the Joker himself.
Well, Mo, I think you made very valid points with all of those things. All of these players are very deserving of this year. I think if you look at numbers and you look at what he's achieved and you look at the statistics and all of those things, you'll look at Jokic numbers and make all of those points. The one thing that I think that will differ from all of these players is who's bringing their team, regardless of whatever obstacles they're having to overcome. And there's certainly been a lot of obstacles, whether it's COVID, injuries, so forth and so on. Who gets their team to the final game of the season? And I think Giannis right now has not only played with the pressure of getting his team to the playoffs, but winning the final game of the season. And I think that is what makes him the MVP this season when you start looking at the other players. Who has done it? Giannis has done it. Who is expecting to do it? Giannis' team is expecting to do it. And he's had to carry and shoulder responsibility by playing a totally different position this year because of the injuries to Brook Lopez at the center position. But again, I can see all of those arguments. I think this league is going to be in great shape. It's really a celebration more than anything because you can't go wrong with any of these players. And it's just a personal preference on who you think and how you choose to look at it. But certainly make it no doubt about it. We are in great shape, the NBA, in the future of what this league is going to be. And we know that there's going to be great players leading the way.
I like how
I agree with most of
the fact that they're international players, which is brilliant. But you both have gone for top picks that wasn't technically the front runner in terms of Joel Embiid. He was a front runner for so long in this league. And let's not get confused. Over the last 5 games, he's still averaging 35 and 15. So for all those that are going to be sitting here and saying, well, what about Joel Embiid and the consistency and the things that he's delivered this year? Mo, how do you respond to Embiid's campaign for the MVP?
I mean, he definitely has a valid case. He's right up there. He's top 3. He could finish second. He could finish third. He's just not number 1 on my list, and there's no shame in being the second best player in the NBA. I think you should hold your head high and be proud. And I do think if he continues the format he's on, a lot of the voters for this award could end up giving him this award. So, he's had a fantastic season. He's done it all for the Philadelphia 76ers, especially with them missing Ben Simmons as well. He's carried the load night in, night out. The reason why I don't have Joel Embiid at the top of my list is because there have been certain games this season where the Philadelphia 76ers haven't been able to win the key marquee matchups throughout the regular season. In the head-to-heads that we all want to see, in particular that game against the Denver Nuggets where they were up big in the first half, Nikola Jokic led his team back to secure the victory. And that's, for me, the real difference. They've all had great seasons. We can pull up great statistics for all of them. But I just want to go back to what BJ was saying when he said, he's picking Giannis because it's about who can get their team to the final game of the season. Well, no, it's actually not. This is the MVP of the regular season. It's a regular season award. We're not predicting which player we think can carry their team to the finals. Otherwise, we could pick Kawhi Leonard when he's healthy without doing load management for half the regular season because I think he can carry his team to the NBA finals season in and season out. So it's not an award of who we think is going to be in the NBA finals with a chance to win it. It is which player has had the most value over the 82-game season. Nikola Jokic has played more games than the other two. He's had to do more than the other two. Talk about 4 and 5. Well, guess what? Jokic has to play all 5 positions for the Denver Nuggets because they're so thin on their depth. They're missing their point guard. They're missing their wing. And he's the big man. He's doing it all for them. That's why he's been the most valuable player to his franchise and around the league in this regular season. Take him off that team, they're in the lottery. Take Giannis off the Milwaukee Bucks. They still have an all-star in Middleton and an all-defensive guard in Drew Holiday. Take Embiid off the Philadelphia 76ers. You've got one of the greatest scorers of all time in James Harden. You've got to really respect what Nikola Jokic has been doing and who he's been doing it alongside. And that's with all due respect to his teammates, but they are not of the caliber that the other 2 guys have got on their squad.
No response there, BJ, at all?
I have no, because we can go back and forth with all 3 of these guys. You know what? I'm a fan of all 3. And there are no losers here. It's just that we're talking about literally the elite of the elite. Like Jokic is as great of a player as we've ever seen to come into this league. Joel Embiid is having that level of season. And of course, Giannis, I think, has a chance. Okay, I think Giannis has a chance to be one of the all-time greats to ever play, regardless of what era we're talking about. So, again, the game is in great position. I love these debates, but it's not necessary for me because I enjoy great basketball at an elite level. So, whoever wins it, you know what? the other two it will give them fuel for next season. But I think overall, in my opinion, Giannis is the best player. He's had the responsibility of carrying his team and playing, whether it's the regular season and getting his team to the postseason, which to me says something about who is the most valuable player. Because in the end, it's what's your value to the team. And Giannis has shown that he and his value carries to the final game of the season.
I like it. It's a good open debate. Whether or not Giannis is considered the best player in the world, which has been said on this show a number of times. On Nikola Jokic, of course, he's done it with the absence of his two running mates and is bringing his team close to a 50-win season. And Joel Embiid has had to deal with the dramas off and on the court and still managed to embody consistency. There's only one question left. Who is your MVP? And we will find out. 1 week left of the regular season. And of course, all of these debates will be settled.